The follow on 3, 5, 7, 10 million takes kind of a different skill set. You still kind of need to be an animal, but you need to work on the business instead of in the business. You need to spend time on systems, processes, routines, creating the best employee training system that you can create, creating a sales system in your business, figuring out what your value proposition is.
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak. Thank you for listening to the show. I would love if you could give us your opinion on how you felt about the show, your experience that you have in regards to what we've been talking about. I am having an absolute blast, but your input is like dynamite on that explosion. So give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Give us everything you got. We love it. Thanks. I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to 7 to 8, our special series on 7 to 8 figure entrepreneurs. In this special series, I interview $1 million, some $10 million, and even some $1 million business owners who uncovered their twists and turns in their entrepreneurial adventure in order to help you to avoid the potholes and stick to the fast track. Welcome now to center stage, our next special guest. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak, and I'm super excited to have you here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Bryan. Bryan, thank you so much for being here today.
Michelle, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Awesome. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Yeah, my name's Bryan Clayton. I'm CEO of GreenPal, which is a mobile app in the United States that works like Uber, but for lawn care services. So if you need to get your grass cut, rather than calling around on Craigslist or Facebook or Angie's List or something like that, you can just download GreenPal, pop your address in, and somebody comes out and takes care of the chore for you.
I love it. That is awesome. Before we get into how the app works and who it's for, all that kind of fun stuff, how did you get into this as an app, per se?
Yes, GreenPal is a 10-year overnight success. My two co-founders and I have been working on the business for a little over a decade, and we're nationwide in the United States now. Around 300,000 people use the app every week to get their grass cut. But it started off really slow and low, and we spent 3 years in Nashville, Tennessee, where I live, trying to figure out how to get the app to work right, how to build the marketplace that satisfied buyers and sellers and made it easier to transact on the marketplace versus the old way. And it was kind of inspired by my first business, which was a landscaping business. I started mowing grass in high school all the way back in the mid 90s as a way to make extra cash. And little by little, stuck with this little lawn mowing business I had through high school, through college, and over a 15-year period of time, ended up building that business into an 8-figure company and with 150 employees, one of the larger landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee. And then in 2013, it was acquired by a national landscaping conglomerate. And then after that, I got bored, kind of took some time off, and decided, hey, what am I going to do with my life now? And I decided to start GreenPal. So it's 22 years and kind of the same industry, but in the blue collar side, and then now on the tech side.
Nice. Well, and so in the application of the app, is it for landscapers particularly to be able to market, or are you breaking in on the high schoolers, the elementary school students, or who's using it most?
Yeah, so where we have the most impact is your smaller kind of what we call truck in a truck, Peter in a pickup, Molly and a mower. We have a lot of female, a lot of female small business owners using the platform, and so it's more suited for smaller companies that are just getting started, who don't know the first thing about how to market a business, how to operate a business, because nobody teaches us this stuff. And our platform's job is to kind of be a business in their pocket, where they can go to the app, get all of the new clients they want, get scheduled up really quickly, and then get paid for the work they do within 24 hours. That's a big value add that we do for small business owners, because most lawn care services are like the last in the stack of household bills to get paid. And one of the biggest challenges of running a service-based business like this is accounts receivable. And you go 30, 60, 90, 120 days of getting paid for the work you do. So we solved that problem. We solved that problem for small business owners, but we still have, we have 32,000 lawn care services that use the app, and we have several that are doing over $1 million a year revenue on the platform. So it runs the full spectrum, but most of them are one man bands.
That is awesome. So when it comes to how the system works, I'm assuming they pay a percentage, or a percentage of how much they're getting paid per job goes to the company, and then the company then uses that to do the promotions and the accounting. Is that how that
Exactly.
works?
Yeah, it works like Uber in that regard. Although we don't take as much of a percent as Uber does. We take anywhere from 5 to 15%, depending on how much uh, volume the vendor is doing on the platform. Whereas I think Uber takes 20 to 30%. But yes, that's how it works. It's a marketplace model where we take a piece of the transaction. So it's a no brainer for lawn care services because they can build that fee into their pricing. They submit the quotes for the jobs they want to do, and if they want to build the fee in, they can. So in effect, it becomes free for them to use. And we only win, we only prosper when they win and prosper. So we are aligned with the performance of our small business owners using the platform and their success and their growth and their ability to get new customers and retain those customers. We want them to retain those customers for as long as the homeowner lives in their home.
Nice. So when it comes to packaging and figuring out pricing, do you help them with that as well?
Yeah, we try to so for consumers when they come onto the platform, they get 5 quotes back in a couple of minutes, and they can then read reviews, all sorts of rich data about their options in terms of the market, in terms of price and reviews and rating and quality, and then also the reliability. How often do these service providers show up on the day they're supposed to? When we first started this business, we thought we were solving the problem of delivering the cheapest way to get your lawn mowed. But what we began to realize after talking with customers was actually reliability was the main thing. Because lawn care services, for some reason, are flaky and they kind of drop off the face of the earth, or they show up when they want to. And what was really important to consumers was if I hire them for every Thursday or every other Thursday, they should be there on that day. So that's the big problem that we saw for consumers, and showing them, okay, hey, you've got these 5 quotes, and this one shows up 90% of the time, this one shows up 78% of the time, this one 12% of the time. And so you can then make an informed decision, unlike any other way. In analog, you would never know who's reliable and who's not. Then so for lawn care services, we do the same thing. We provide them all kinds of data about what they're pricing and what the pricing in the market looks like and how they're winning business versus not. And so they can look at a property and say, okay, I have 3 other lawns already on the street on GreenPal. It's 12,000 square feet. The average winning price for this is $43. But I can probably do it for 35 because I'm already on that street, and it's telling me here. And it's also telling me that those stops took me 30 minutes each. And so all this like rich data to make it uh, easier to conduct commerce on our platform versus the old way.
Nice. So do you use Google Maps or anything to be able to kind of space out the job?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you sign up, we try to collect as much data as we can. So first thing we do is we collect the aerial imagery and street view imagery from Google Maps and about 3 other places.
Okay.
So we bring that in and we package that up, and then we tap into, okay, the assessor's office, the tax assessor's office, and we get how much the square footage of the lot is, and so we bring that in, and then we have all this data around what the average pricing should be for that zip code for that square foot, and we surface that, and then the consumer should also indicate what level of quality they're expecting, because some people want a private gardener, some people just want the grass knocked down, like if it's for a rental property or something, and so we have that preference captured, and then also how many days it's been since they had their last mowing, because that comes into play for the first visit. So we
Absolutely.
capture all of that and package it up so it's one neat thing you can just submit a quote for very quickly.
Well, yeah, because I assume having an empty lot is obviously going to be a lot cheaper than somebody that's got a bunch of statues in the backyard that have to be
Right.
whipper snipped around and cared
Right,
for.
exactly, and there's different levels of expectation and preference on this. It's not
Right.
necessarily just a commodity service. There's nuance to it.
Nice. Well, and I assume too, while they're having the Kentucky Derby and people are having their backyard parties, that's going to be substantially different too than somebody that's, just has a rental property once a
Yeah,
cut.
every 2 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very different. But we have the system to serve both those needs. It's kind of like the difference between Uber X and Uber Black and Uber
Well, I was
Pool
gonna
and
say
all these things.
that's an intense amount of of nuances because for your average business person, figuring out how to do your packaging, how to do it's not just Uber, it's not from point A to point B. That there's a lot of, like I said, nuance in there, especially if it comes to, in different states, they're gonna have different issues. Right in Florida, it's gonna be just get rid of this stuff,
Exactly.
mowing, like hack it down, do what you got to do to be able to see my yard again. And in other ones, Phoenix, it might be, a lot
Very
of
different.
hand, manicuring because it's not a matter of hacking it down. It's matter of making sure that it grows up again.
Exactly. And to your point, we operate in hundreds of different cities, and we kind of have to tweak and tailor the experience for different regions. And that's one reason why it took so long to build the marketplace and get it
Right.
humming. It over a decade because it just took a long time to figure these things out and build the technological solutions to them.
Nice. So when it does come to, and I'm just going to be silly for a minute, but play with me here. Your average 5-year-old goes, or I guess not 5, 10-year-old goes out and wants to mow lawns. Are they able to get on the platform too? And
You gotta be 18. So
okay.
you gotta be able to have a bank account, and you gotta be 18. But as soon as you're 18, you can get on here and start making money. That's for sure.
So there's still hope for the kids in the corner.
That's right.
Excellent. So when it comes to building your businesses, how did you get started in this and how did you go, hey, I think I want to be a SaaS. I want to get into the SaaS industry and
It
hey,
was kind of naivete as an asset. I genuinely believed that after building and selling my first company, it was really like organized chaos every day running that business, and it was really hard. And I thought, well, that was tough, and but now I want to start another business because I need another project, I need another mission. And well, I'm going to build a tech company because that'll be easier. Like you watch like a movie like The Social Network or something, and it's like
they can
it's
do it. How hard can it
yeah,
possibly
right.
be?
Yeah, yeah. And like what you don't realize is like in every movie about business, the part where they actually build the business is set to like a musical montage. Like it's never like if the Social Network, the movie, was an actual movie about the journey of building Facebook, it would just be like Zuck and like his two co-founders like behind some laptops, with pizza boxes on the floor for 7 hours. Like it wouldn't be an
Watching
interesting
people
movie.
code for 15 hours a day for
Yeah,
6 years.
yeah, it wouldn't be a movie you'd really want to watch. And so, I guess my point is that it's a lot harder than I thought. But the good thing, I didn't know how hard it was going to be because I never would have done it. And so it was naivete as an asset getting started. But then I really got fell in love with the idea of building a tech product and building once and selling twice, or building once and selling 1,000 times. And so in my first business, I wasn't able to really do that. It was a service based business. We were selling man hours. Whereas in this business, I could sell a platform, a product, a service. And so I was driven by that idea, and to keep and just kind of stick it out and go from failure to failure without a loss of enthusiasm. And also I was validated. My team and I were validated with our early customers who hated the app because it sucked and it didn't have the features it needed, and it was clunky and buggy and had a million problems. But they would always like tell us that they wish it worked. Like they would always tell us like they were always let down that it didn't really have this Uber like crisp experience. And so that was validation to keep going. And so after, we ended our first year with maybe 20 or 30 customers, and we just kept going and made little goals. Like the first goal we made was we just wanted to do 100 transactions in a week. And we set our sights on transactions per week as like the lifeblood of the platform. And if that was going up, then we were going in the right direction. And it was a good metric because it indicated health, like buyers and sellers coming together, actually transacting commerce, not, oh, how many signups did we get, or how many page views did we get, or how many downloads did we get? Like, no, this was an active metric. But the first goal was just to get 100, and that took 2 years of like passing out flyers, working on the code, like teaching ourselves how to build software. and it was really, really, really challenging. But we were just maniacally focused on nothing else other than getting to that 100. And then after we got to 100, we like celebrated it by going out that night, and then the next goal was 1,000, and that took 3 more years to get to 1,000. So now we're 5 years in. We got 1,000 people a week using it, but the next goal was 10,000, and that took like 2 years. Now we're 7 years in, got 10,000 a week, and so now we're 300,000. And so it really does as you get to a compounding effect that starts to take hold, it does get easier. But the first, several years of pushing on the string is challenging.
I bet. So when it was, I mean, 10,000 questions in my brain. One, what was the importance of the KPI being something that you could actually monetize on versus page clicks and all that kind of fun stuff? Because I see a lot of people in business getting stuck on KPIs that don't matter. And it's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter how many followers you are, nobody cares. It's
Yeah.
like, really don't. It's not going to be able to, unless you're getting, 100,000 followers or something ridiculous, that's not where you monetize in a typical business. But how important was that to you? Was that ever in doubt, or was it just like, no, this is the one that makes sense and that's what we're going for?
I think intuitively we knew it needed to be something like that. But I was reading a book called Lean Analytics at the time, and the author of that book talks about how you have to create this one metric that matters, the ONTM, and every business needs to have that. And yeah, sure, you can track a dozen things, but really you should be like throwing all of your weight behind moving the number on the one metric that matters. And in most marketplaces like ours, that metric is transactions, not like total transactions, because that's always going to go up and to the right, as transactions during a period of time. And so you can compare the time blocks from week to week, month to month, or whatever, and see if you're gaining progress. If it's like if whereas where a lot of people get hung up is like number of transactions. Well, that's not going to indicate to you the health of the business. If it's growing or contracting, it's always going to grow. And so it's important to have a really candid conversation with you and your team, and try to like rally around what that one metric that matters. And so for us, we were self-funded. We didn't take on any outside capital. So we had to make money, and we had to drive transactions. And it was like a life or death thing. And so not only we have to get customers, we had to keep them. And we wanted a way to know if what we were like throwing our life's soul into was worth it or not. Because I didn't want to like waste a decade on something that wasn't going to go anywhere. So that one metric was what we rallied around, and it was stubborn, very stubborn to move. Still is. It's not easy to move that number, but we still throw everything we got into it.
So from a business perspective, how did you balance we need more programmers now fast to we have X amount of dollars in the bank and we're going to do this? Like,
Yeah.
how do you decide if you're going to hire junior programmers and get more out of them or senior management? Like, how did you play with that whole conundrum of money versus resources?
Yeah, it's when you're self-funded, it's like you're always starving. And when you're really starving and hungry, it clarifies your thinking. There's a biological it has a biological way of doing that. And so for us, we were always constrained by capital. We would make a little bit of money and put it back to work. And it's almost like an emergency room hospital situation where you're triaging around what are the most important things and where are the log jams, and what is like preventing us from being able to service customers and get more customers. And so a lot of times, we had to it's a moving target. So we would need devs, but we would need like dev hours on SEO. Like we needed top of the funnel traffic, and we needed like technical things done to build our property in such a way that it was a like a SEO machine. And so we have content writers writing content, but also technical people productizing that in such a way that we could rank well for all sorts of different queries. And so and then it's like, okay, we did that for 3 months, and then now we have people abandoning the platform because we don't have a route optimization. And so now we've got maybe 2,000 lawn care services, and they're all pissed off because we give them a list of stops, and they're not optimized from stop to stop. And they've been telling us about this for 2 years, but now it's reached the point where like we can't kick the can down the road anymore. We have to build it, so we have to move from this to this. And so you're always you're always triaging around what are the one or two things that are most important at that moment, and is throwing all your firepower into that and nothing else. And a lot of times you're going off of data, you're going off of conversations, and you're trying to synthesize the two to figure out what the best decision is. One thing that's always helped me is I've always do at least an hour, maybe 2 hours a day of customer support, even though we have hundreds of thousands of people using it, and our customer support staff is over a dozen people now. I still jump in there even to this day and do an hour, at least an hour or two a day of answering tickets, doing live chat, because that always keeps me really close to what our user base is wanting and what they're needing and what they're most upset about. So it's a combination of all those things. I think if you raise money and you've been around the block a couple times, you can do these things in a much more like streamlined, like comfortable manner and orchestrated manner with an org chart and hiring senior level people. But for us, it never was that. It was always like, okay, we need more devs, or we need more content creators. What can we afford? Let's go get the best for what we can afford.
Nice. Well, and although there are very similar pillars to every business is business. Everyone is absolutely unique in how you want to build it out, which is where the fun part for me comes in. So when you're working with customer service and you know that there's a high level of dissatisfaction, a lot of people in business I find don't build their business soon enough because they're like, oh, it's not going to be done right. I'm going to get a bad reputation. Nobody's doing it the way I would do it. I have to do it myself. Like all of those things tend to stop people, but it sounds like those are the things that actually drove you to make sure that it was done the way you wanted to. What was kind of the mantra that was going on in your head to make you be able to go through that?
Yeah, there's a saying by Reid Hoffman, who is the founder of LinkedIn, and he says, if you're not embarrassed by your first product, you waited way too long. And so the reality is that what holds up a lot of new founders, for any kind of business, if you're inventing a new product like I was with GreenPal, or if you're starting a landscaping company, they'll just kind of like plan their way, and do all of this theorizing, and maybe try to even perfect the product before they launch it, and they're doing it all on their own assumptions and not doing any of this off of customer or user feedback. And so you kind of go set off on this tangent of things that maybe don't matter, and you're building for a set of solutions, and you're not actually solving a problem that somebody's going to pay for. So you really don't know what you should be doing and working on until you start getting that customer feedback. And no, like Mike Tyson's quote, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the nose. No new business survives first contact with the customer. So everything you can do to like close the timeline from where you stand today to getting 20 customers, you need to do that. And everything that you do that isn't that is wasting your time and probably going to compound further with you steading off in a direction that building a product in search of a problem and not building something that solves a problem for somebody.
Thanks. Love it. So when it came to kind of, let's go back to building your first million in your businesses. What would you say was the most important aspect of being able to get to that milestone?
I think to get to seven figures, you can get there. Almost anybody can get there in almost any business if they're just an animal. If they're willing to will it into existence, willing to chase down sales faster than anybody, return phone calls faster than anybody, fix customer problems faster than anybody, not let poor quality go out the door, and literally just like be all things to all people and just work their butts off. I think you can get to 1 million in sales pretty easily. At least that's how it was for me. The follow on 3, 5, 7, 10 million takes kind of a different skill set. You still kind of need to be an animal, but you need to work on the business instead of in the business. You need to spend time on systems, processes, routines, creating the best employee training system that you can create, creating a sales system in your business, figuring out what your value proposition is, what you literally do better than your competitors. And I find like a lot of founders like think like I even thought this at one point with my first business. Like I thought that our value proposition was, we gave free estimates, or we called you back fast, or our employees wore T-shirts or uniforms or things like that. And it's like, no, that's not a value proposition. And so really being like honest with yourself as the founder as to what you do better than your competition, and then building a sales process around that is how you get from 2 to 10 million. And it's a different shift of skills, and it's actually harder. Like works growing a business is hard, but building systems is difficult. So there's a difference between the hard work and the difficult work. And what happens is a lot of people get stuck in a never-ending cycle of hard work, and so they think they're like owed this massive success because they're doing a bunch of hard work, but they're not taking time one day a week to do the difficult work. And so that's how you get to 8 figures.
Love it. So when it comes to your clients, you mentioned that you had people on the platform that are running $1 million businesses on the platform. What do you see the difference between what they're doing and what other people are doing?
Yeah, nobody teaches us how to run a small business. We're not taught in high school, we're not taught in college. And the ones on our platform that successfully make the transition from 10 customers, 50 customers to maybe 3 or 400 customers are the ones that start thinking like a business owner and start thinking like not like an employee. Because a lot of people that are on our platform or drive for Uber or deliver groceries for Instacart or what have you in the gig economy kind of operate with an employee mindset. Like, these aren't my customers, and I'm just doing a task and I'm getting paid a wage for it. And so the users on the vendors on our platform that think that way, some do, uh, don't excel and prosper like the ones that think like a business owner, which is being proactive, following up, upselling, making sure people are happy with your services, figuring out ways to expand your margin by way of just a more reliable service. And it's funny, I see it every day because we have a Facebook group with 4,000 of these service providers, and so they're all the time sharing ideas, and and it's so funny. Like somebody will post something like, I went on a job the other day, and this lady came out and asked me to move 4 lawn chairs out of the way before I mowed, and that's not my job. I'm not a furniture mover. And like all these people started piling on. I know that's not what we're here to do. And then like 4 or 5 other people are like, dude, you're in the service business. How much headache did it take you to get that customer? You had to bid on 20 other customers, and now you don't have that customer anymore. They were probably going to spend $1,000 a year with you because you couldn't get off the mower and move 4 pieces of furniture or 4 lawn chairs. And so the difference between people that get stuck in that like worker mindset and break out of that into like a business owner mindset are the ones that in on our platform and probably in life in general just excel.
I love it. Well, and on that note, is there a line that you've found where somebody can give too much service where the scope creep of the job is just getting out of hand? And you're like, okay, we got to stop. How do we start to create the boundaries for what's a nicety and you're putting a ribbon on the job that you've done versus scope creep where you're going well above and beyond and you're losing money now?
Absolutely. And it's hard to define, but we as a platform, we get several, maybe 3 or 4 thousand people a day sign up. We sideline 5% of consumers that come on to the platform that just have unrealistic expectations, whether it be around price, quality, or what's included or not. We sideline. We've developed a pretty good system to do this, to identify what we call PETA customers, and I'll let you deduce what the
Those of us in the
acronym.
know
Yeah,
giggle.
what those folks typically
Do
are
and
like
ask
to
for.
like to like to do business with.
Yep.
And so because those types of customers will destroy your want your enthusiasm for running the business, and you need to identify them and sideline them. So the answer is, it's kind of like, it when you see it, and you kind of have to go with your gut instinct, and ask friends and family and contemporaries. And that's one reason why people post in our little Facebook, what do you think about this conversation thread and how I handled it is really the impetus of that example that I just gave.
Yep.
And the conclusion was, no, you were out of line. You probably should have moved the 4 lawn chairs. But at other times, there is a, like, some people just think that they can talk down to service providers, and that's why, like on Uber, there's rating systems for riders and there's rating systems for drivers, and that's just the world we live in. So no, you don't have to take all of it, but you do have to make a strategic decision a lot of times. What is this customer going to be worth to me long term, over a year, 2 or 3 years, and how much is the ask going to be required of me, and is it worth it? And just make a call that way.
Nice. Well, and I cannot express enough to even new people in business, or the ones that just kind of go, well, why would I get you to do it for that 15% when I could do it? And my answer is because that's like having a built-in mentor into your business right off the bat. Right off the bat, your packaging. Right off the bat, you're creating those boundaries for people. Right off the bat, you've got the financing in place and the follow-ups and the accounts receivable, and like it almost doesn't make sense not to use you as a service provider. So is there any reason, I'm maybe asking a silly question, why people wouldn't use you?
Well, some people just don't get it. Some people don't like the accountability.
Mm.
They would rather just go run their business, not call people back, not show up on the day they're supposed to, and just kind of do what they want to in business, and then be pissed off that they went out of business or are not excelling. And so for those folks, our system is designed to demote and expel them out of the platform. That's what we're in the business of doing, is
Right.
promoting reliable service providers and demoting and expelling the ones that aren't, so the consumer can come on board and get this Uber like, Amazon like experience, and not have to deal with all the BS of dealing with unreliable contractors.
Absolutely. And I can also see that even successful businesses would want to have a portion of the business on your platform. One, to be able to get the community and the feedback of, hey, what's going on? And even if they were the highest end, all that does is position them as the highest end. It's like, yes, we are more expensive than everybody else, and here's why. And
Exactly.
and then know the positioning for it, and how better to know it. I mean, if we could get that in the tech industry and know exactly what our competition is doing, how much they're charging, where they're going in, where they're falling short of, I mean, that would have made our market research so easy to do. It would have been awesome.
That's what our job is, in this humble little thing of
Right.
landscaping maintenance, and we try to throw everything we can into making it a no-brainer for both sides of the transaction to use it. It's a lot easier to hire somebody. It's a lot easier to run your business on it that way, and it's the only place where you can be a reliable service provider and accrue information in one place,
Right.
where how often you showing up on time, how often you getting booked for ongoing services, what people are saying about you, all of the pictures of your past jobs, one place for all of these things to kind of collect and accrue. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we had not have been focused on just this one vertical, just lawn maintenance.
I love it. I love it. I could ask you questions all day, but I want to leave some curiosity for our listeners, and I know they're going to want it more from you. How did they start their journey with you?
Yeah, so anybody that doesn't want to mow their yard, they can just go to greenpal.com and sign up there. Anybody that wants to get started in the lawn business, or grow their lawn business, just go to the homepage, greenpal.com, scroll to the bottom, and click sign up as a vendor.
Love it. Any plans for going international?
Soon. We do really well in Seattle, and like, we have thought about crossing that invisible line to Vancouver, but these lines between us are very real. You wouldn't think, and it's like we started like looking into how difficult it is to launch internationally, And there's more to it than you would think than just launching from St. Louis to Kansas City or something. It's like really hard, and so it's going to happen. We're not saturated totally in the United States, but we want to be in Canada, UK, and in Australia within the next couple of years.
Nice. I love it. So peeps, go and check out Bryan's links. They're all in the show notes. Of course, scroll down, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. So Bryan, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know that you're a special kind of crazy enough to think that you might become an entrepreneur?
Oh, really early, really early. When I was mowing yards by myself as a teenager, I knew, but I knew I was crazy when I went to night school in college, and nobody would sit next to me in class because I smelled like gasoline and grass. So I knew I was crazy because I would mow yards for 12 hours and then I would go to night class at 7 o'clock at night. And I guess I knew I was a little weird when 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 I didn't see any issue with going to a marketing class with grass clippings all over me.
I think it's awesome. It's like, what? This is what business smells like.
Hey, yeah, exactly. And as it turns out, I mean, like what they were teaching me in business school, I was running a business. I was like, this isn't how it's supposed to be done. It was kind of funny. It's kind of jarring in that way.
Well, sometimes you need to know what you don't need to know in order to figure out what you do
Right.
need to know.
That's what I
right?
learned. That's what I learned in business school.
Learn from the people that are bad examples as well and go, no, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
Awesome. You have been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Anybody that's listening to this that's thinking about starting a business, maybe you might think, oh, I waited too long, it's too late, I missed it. The reality is you didn't miss it. It always gets bigger, it always gets faster, quicker. The opportunities are always growing. So no, you didn't miss it. Get in the game, because only when you're in the game can you win.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I know how valuable it is.
Thanks, Michelle. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow. Thank you for listening to 7 to 8. If you're interested in upping your speaking game, be sure to connect with our guests with the links in the show notes and connect with me to see how we can help you get your tech done for you and help your speaking dreams come true.